Well, I've got a bit of a surprise for you in the next couple of days or so. Let's take a look at the prospects. This is how things built up through last night. In fact, this band of weather as it came through rather woke me up, and it wasn't even the main event, I have to tell you. We've got quite an area of cloud and rain now dominating the scene across many parts of the British Isles, all tied in with a great weather front gradually driving its way a little bit further east. Just notice, following on behind, there's just something of an interlude. Then we get another little mini front, so just pepping up those showers again to produce some longer spells of rain perhaps as they work their way towards the North Sea. And we'll talk about this swathe of cloud and rain in just a wee while. So some showery conditions working their way from west to east across the British Isles through the rest of the day. I suspect the rain may well stick across the far north of Scotland. It may well also be the case that it's quite well on into the day, perhaps even towards dusk, before we really get rid of this rain from the far southeast as well. But wherever you're spending the day, given that the fact that the winds are for the most part coming in from the southwest, it looks as though it's going to be a pretty mild setup with temperatures in double figures across many parts of the British Isles. Now I just want to take you back to the north of Scotland, because this is where we're keeping an eye on a developing situation, an area of low pressure, quite a vigorous one, gradually tracking its way a little bit further towards the east. And you just notice how it really tightens up those isobars for a time, producing gale force winds, if not something a little bit stronger, because as that low comes in quite close to the north of Scotland, it may well be that through tonight we could see gusts getting up to around about 80 miles an hour in the north of Scotland. Not a concern for the central belt by any means. And the one positive thing I can say is that with all that cloud and with the breeze around, it looks as though it's going to be a mild night, and that's one of the themes for the next week or so. I don't think you're going to be troubled by frost by any means at all. Now that low pressure gets out of the way really quite smartly, only makes room for a new set of weather fronts to get into the western side of the British Isles. So a wet start for Scotland, Northern Ireland, perhaps later on in the morning the north of Wales. A lot of clouds spilling ahead of it elsewhere, relatively dry for the most part. And as the day progresses, we'll just push that rain a little bit further north, and you'll find it just toppling down across the northern parts of England and Wales as well, into the southwest, and maybe just the far southeast staying fairly dry on what is going to be an even milder day, with the temperatures up to around about 14 or 15 degrees in the south, and as you see, really quite widely spread double figures there across the whole of the British Isles. By Tuesday, we keep the rain theme going across many of these northern and western areas. Still quite a number of isobars there as well, but look at this, with a little bit of sunshine somewhere in the south, and I wouldn't be too specific, but maybe the southeast, maybe East Anglia. It could well be that we could see the temperatures up to 17 degrees. And of course, the farming may well have to go on hold this week, at least for 2 or 3 days, if you're heading for the Cheltenham Festival, maybe just glued to the TV. It looks as though Wednesday, as a weak front comes through, may just see the odd spot of rain, but essentially mild, not just for Cheltenham, but for the whole of the British Isles, given that we're keeping this wind direction going over the next few days, right on into the middle of the week, and indeed beyond, I would have thought as well. As I was saying, Wednesday at Cheltenham, it's this front that may just produce the odd spot of rain as it works its way towards the south, but it really won't drop the temperatures off at all. A mixture of sunshine and showers following on behind, I would have thought, and see the numbers there. Even up on the eastern side of Scotland, we're still looking at 13 degrees or so. And then on Thursday, a bit of a respite before more wet and windy weather begins to work its way into the western side of the British Isles. So make the most of the dry start, because it's sure not to last with that front on the way. That's the way the week's looking.